Hello there, people. Welcome to today's podcast. In today's news, Joe Biden backs Milley amid uproar over alleged China calls. For those of you, we'll dive deep into that. AOC, when I say tax the rich, I don't mean mean. And Pope Francis, abortion is homicide. The church says it does not stand with daily murder. But to go ahead and continue on with first things first. Joe Biden backs Milley amid uproar of alleged China calls. Sorry for that. Had a little thing. But President Joe Biden standing by General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, amid reports that Milley coordinated with the Chinese and his own staff against former President Donald Trump. Those of you who don't know, recently has came out that that General Milley, what he did is he made a pledge to China or an allegiance or something saying that if Trump ever had anything to like target the Chinese, like ever had plans to go to war with them, he said that he would go ahead and immediately target them and not immediately target them, but immediately let them know. For those of you who don't know, that's a little thing called treason, and here in the states, here in the great states of the U.S., treason is a punishable thing by death. But yeah, I have great confidence in General Milley, Biden told reporters on Wednesday, a day after the allegations broke out in excerpts of a new book by the Washington Post, Bob Woodward and Robert Costa. Here's a video.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you.
Come on, guys.
Sir,
Thank you,
did
guys.
General
Thank you.
Milley do
Come on,
the
come on.
right thing,
Come on.
sir?
Thank you. Let's
In
go.
your
Thank
opinion,
you, guys. Thank
did
you. Come
General
on.
Milley
Let's
do
go.
the right
Thank.
thing?
I have
Thank you,
great
guys.
confidence in General Milley.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That is a video, him saying that he has great confidence in General Milley, even though Milley Dunn said that he would turn his back on on the Trump administration. He believes that he should not be incarcerated enough for what he said back then, and believes that General Milley is not a threat. I sincerely believe, in my opinion, that General Milley is a threat. If he is willing to give information to the traitors if a war or plans were to break out against them, against the old administration, who's to say it's not to happen to this one, especially with the Afghanistan conflict and everything going on there. I mean, we can't really be too sure now. But according to Woodward and Costa, Miller made two phone calls with his counterpart in China on October 30th and January 8th. On the calls, Milley reported assured General Li Zongcheng of the People's Liberation Army that Milley would warn him if Trump ordered a military strike against China. Exactly, that is treason. He is warning that if there were to be plans to go to do something to China, he'd immediately let them know. That is treason, and Milley should be fired. He should be put on leave, and he should be sentenced to death for treason. That is what he did precisely. But but yeah, Milley would warn him if Trump ordered a military strike against China. Milley allegedly made the first call with the blessing of then Defense Secretary Mark Esper, the second call with the blessing of then acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller. So he had the blessing to make both calls with of the people that were the who were the acting people of the defense secretaries, which the first call was made with the blessing of Defense Secretary Mark Esper, the second call being Defense Secretary Chris Miller. But right here, Miller has denied knowing about the alleged call. Milley sought to address fears that Chinese allegedly had the U.S. Fears the Chinese allegedly had the U.S. was considering an attack on Chinese assets in the South China Sea. If we're going to attack, I'm going to call you ahead of time. It's not going to be a surprise, Milley told Zhu Chang, according to the authors. Those of you who don't know, that's more or less what he is saying there is that, of course, I'm sure you can read and you understand, but I'm just saying for the people that might have a hard time understanding, what he's saying is if we were to have plans to go to war against them, he would immediately let them know ahead of time, giving away battle plans, of course, making it awful and betraying us, betraying the nation, and betraying you, the people. In another section of their book, Woodward and Costa also claim that Milley met with staff following the January 6th riot at the Capitol, instructing them to bring any Trump directives regarding the possible launch of nuclear weapons through them. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said earlier Wednesday that Milley had the support of the administration, though the White House was not going to comment on the reports of Milley's alleged conduct. So yeah, more or less what they're saying is, hey, we know this guy's a traitor. We know he betrayed the last administration, but hey, he's not gonna betray us, which is absolutely ignorant and just stupid of in every way. Quote: The president has worked side by side with Chairman Milley for almost 8 months as chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Psaki said, according to Axios. Alright, so let's see. So we're gonna go ahead and do some real quick. So Milley, so let's go ahead and look up some real quickly. Milley, Mark Milley, Joint Chiefs. Okay, he was born office. So he was Joint of Chiefs staff since 2019. So he was with the Trump administration for a whole year and still betrayed them. This is the tell of him. Yes, if you see a man that looks like this, you know he's an absolute wussy and won't do nothing. But yeah, right here. Uh, but yeah, the chairman's worked side by side with Milley for almost 8 months, according to Axios. Quote: His experience with him has been that he is a patriot. Lie. If he was a patriot, he would not have turned on his country like he said he would do. He is someone who has a fidelity to the Constitution, as well as a lie. He's betraying the people by giving the enemy a warning ahead of time to make the war basically absolutely unwinnable, and to put us at his disadvantage actually. And has confidence in his leadership and the role he played in his experiences with them, end quote. She continued, quote, I can't speak to an anonymous, unconfirmed reports about prior conversations during the last administration. That is quite sad that you cannot talk about something like that, because that is something that is quite very serious and something that should be looking at very seriously. On Wednesday, Joint Staff spokesman Colonel Dave Butler released a statement acknowledging Milley's October and January calls to the Chinese, but defended them as part of Milley's duties and responsibilities. You are a lie. His duties and responsibilities is to protect us, is to command our army with the iron fist and say, hey, you need to do this. This will win us the war, not to give the enemy our information, and if we are going to bomb them, to make our attacks basically like to make our attacks useless next to just barely even worthy, barely even good or barely even necessary or whatever. But the chairman of the Joint Chiefs regularly communicates with the chiefs of defense across the world, including China and Russia. These conversations remain vital to improving mutual understandings of the U.S. national security interests, reducing tensions, providing clarity, and avoiding unintended consequences or conflict. His calls with the Chinese and others in October and January were in keeping these duties, responsibilities, and conveying reassurance in order to maintain strategic stability. All calls from the chairman to his counterparts, including those reported, are staffed, coordinated, communicated with the Department of Defense and integrancy. Interrogancy? And so hold up. I'm a little bit tired, folks, so please give me a break. So hold up.
Interagency.
Interagency. What?
Interagenzia.
Oh yeah, I remember. I was seeing if Italian and Spanish was the same. Fun fact, they are not. I actually thought for the longest time that Italian spoke Spanish, but with a few words a bit different. I never knew that. That's something new I learned. But also in keeping with his responsibilities as senior military advisor to the President and Secretary of Defense, Milley frequently conducts meetings with uninformed leaders across the services to ensure all leaders are aware of current issues. The meeting regarding nuclear weapon protocols remind uniform leaders in the Pentagon of a long-established and robust procedures in light of media reporting on the subject. General Milley continues to act and advise with his authority and lawful tradition of civilian control and military, and his oath to the Constitution. And of course, he broke his oath to the Constitution, saying he would help the enemy. Right here, but right here, AOC. When I say tax rich, I don't mean me. For those of you who don't know, she actually recently went to a ball hub. AOC tax the rich. Oh, hold up. AOC tax the God's sakes the rich dress. Yep, right here it was. She wore a dress. This is to the place that was more or less meant to celebrate the rich. Right here, as you can see, tax the rich in a dress right here. I don't know, she's wearing that around the richest people in the world to a place where they're just there to celebrate their wealth. But she's with this woman here. I can't remember her name. But funny story. I was watching this or whatever, watching a little interview with her. This is something that was so stupid. Just here's what they said. She said she was talking to her friend and said something about thinking as hardworking mid class women of color, working class women of color. First of all, they are not working class. She is making $174,000 a year. For those who are listening right now, I am sure that that is probably more than you make. If you're making more than that, please send some money my way. I am tis but a poor boy. But right here, uh, far left representative, far left rep, Ar- Ale- far left representative, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democrat of New York, on Tuesday informed her Instagram followers that she is not one of the wealthy people she wants to be taxed, following criticism that herself is rich. So right here. Here's a little thing. So what do you say to people who argue that you're also rich? In Instagram under Ask AOC, the Democrats earn more than $170,000 annually and owns a $35 Tesla. First of all, $170,000 a year is way, way, way more than the working class. The working class would be more of something around the 50,000 to 80,000, I'd say, right around there is probably working class, your blue collar Joe. From 100,000 to like 100,000 to like 200, no, 100,000 to like 300,000. That'd probably be more like your white collar, and like 300,000 and above is just rich. That's how I see it personally. Give or take, I'd change a few things, but that's just a rough basis right now. But quote, this is a trick people use all the time, right? End quote. The representative responded, quote, they think you want to think that when they talk about the rich. We're talking about a doctor or a lawyer instead of someone with hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. That is what I mean by rich, end quote. Of course, Democrat proposals of legislation increase levy taxes on individuals and business owners that earn far less than hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. So that would be things like people who make $100,000. Then that would be people who own like certain businesses. That'd be like owners of like small stores, like people who are making hundreds of million dollars. That would be the owner of McDonald's, or that would be the owner of Apple. That's your rich people. Billions of dollars would be people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, people like that. But yeah, things just like that. And like personally, if you really want to go after small businesses, you really are pathetic. You really are, because small businesses are arguably one of the best businesses that are out there. Because if you can give them that, they can fuel their business to get more businesses and become bigger and bigger and just grow and make more money, as well as hire more people and open up more jobs. Sorry. The question to AOC was raised in the wake of Congresswoman Warren and emblazoned. Oh God, embezzled. Hold up, give me a second.
Emblazoned.
Emblazoned. I totally knew that. I was just seeing a few people knew it. Emblazoned tax the rich dress and to the Met Gala, where tables could reportedly cost more than $270,000 and individual tickets are priced around $30,000. So yeah, she is most definitely rich. AOC on Monday scolded haters over the criticism and contended that going to the fancy event with the rich elitists was actually her just doing her job as a congresswoman in New York City. Your job has nothing to do with hanging out with rich people. Sure, you're around rich people, but has nothing to do with your job. You can't hang around rich people. If you're gonna do that, then you better stop saying things like tax the rich, because guess what? That's the people you work for, and that's what you are. You're rich. You make more than like most of the population. But yeah, continue on. And before the haters get wild flying off the handle, New York elected officials are routinely invited to and attend the Met due to our responsibilities in overseeing and supporting the city's cultural institutions for the public. End quote. She wrote via Twitter, quote, I was one of the several in attendance this evening, end quote. In the same Twitter thread, Ocasio-Cortez rationalized that the medium is the message, and emphasized that her designer is a black woman immigrant designer. She is a black woman immigrant designer, but she's also a stupidly rich black immigrant designer, which is good. I really want that. But don't make that to be like, oh, but you see the thing is, I funded this business. No, you're just funding people that are already stupid rich, even stupid richer. No. Moreover, AOC complained Tuesday that her body is constantly policed by politicos and said haters hated when the Met Gala appearance, while thoughtful were thoughtful in reaction or whatever. But yeah, I thought about the criticism I get, but honestly, I and my body have been so heavily, relentlessly policed from all corners politically since the moment I won my election. It's kind of become expected, normalized to me. She wrote the irony is that when women in power take prospects of criticism and cautious in their actions, they are criticized for being inauthentic and too calculated. Ultimately, the haters hated the people were thoughtful, but all had a conversation about taxing the rich in front of the very people who lobby against it and puncture the fourth wall of the spectacle. The Democratic representative also suggested that if her sex and race, which sparks criticism. Oh wait, no. The Democratic representative also suggested it is her sex and race that sparks the criticism. Yeah, honestly, our culture is deeply disdainful and unsupportive of women, especially women of color, working class women, LGBTQ, immigrant, etc. From the bottom up, with this lack of childcare support, or especially reserving priority for elected women and feminine people. End quote. Right here. AOC claims their I was trying to do that, whatever. AOC claims their critics of her attendance Met Gala are disdainful and unsupportive of working class women like you. Loved your dress, but what do you have to say to the critics for attending the Met Gala? I thought of the criticism, but honestly, me or that, so whatever. Okay, I done more or less said this or whatever. Yeah, see, that's already what I said, but like right here. AOC responds to the criticism that she is rich. They want you to think that when we talk about the rich, we're talking about a doctor, lawyer, instead of someone with hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of
I mean,
dollars.
this is the trick that people use all the time, right? They want you to think that when we talk about rich, we're talking about a doctor or a lawyer instead of someone with hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. That's what we mean by rich.
No, you done said you want to impose tax on people who make above 100,000. Uh, to put you make as much you make $1 for every view you get. Of course not literally, but I mean like you make $178,000 annually, okay? So basically if your money more or less watched this video, but right here, yeah. But yes. Pope Francis, abortion is homicide. Catholic Church's position will not change to accept daily murder. Pope Francis spoke about on the topic of abortion. Catholics, politicians who publicly support the barbaric practice during a flight back to Rome from Slovakia, telling reporters that the Catholic Church has no plans to change its teachings on abortion, but that the Catholic leaders should seek to counsel abortion-supporting politicians privately before the extreme step of excommunicating them from the church. So they're actually trying to get them help instead of immediately saying, you believe this, get the fuck out. They're trying to say, please, fix yourself before you have to get the fuck out, which I actually absolutely support. They should get the fuck out if they can't seek help. Answering questions aboard the papal plane from Brasilia, Slovakia to Rome on September 15th. The Pope emphatically said that that abortion ends a human life and that a human life must be respected. I agree with that a lot. Abortion is more than an issue. Abortion is homicide, Pope Francis said. Definitively, it's a homicide. No middle terms. Whomever does an abortion kills. I agree, abortion is no worse than murder, because guess what? It is murder. It's no better than murder, because guess what? It is murder. Murder is murder, endless, no matter what. Unless you're protecting yourself or something, murder's unacceptable. Alright, there's very few cases, and like the cases, like, and I mean like unjustified. Unjustified murder is never right. But justified murder, like someone trying to kill you something or self-defense, that is very much, and you're within the right. You should not be forced to die. The Church Pope Francis added will remain strict on the issue despite Catholic politicians like President Joe Biden and Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. I would like to say now they are not Catholics. They actively support abortions. Guess what? As we're reading in the post right now, the church does not. Joe Biden is as Catholic as I am city. All right. Joe Biden ain't Catholic. I I I don't even think he knows what the word Catholic means. If I'm right, the Catholics if I'm right, they worship the Mother Mary. That dude probably doesn't even know who his own mother is, let alone the Mother Mary. But yeah, President Joe Biden, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, who claimed their concedence leads to them to support of reproductive rights, and public support does not just the right to obtain an abortion, but take affirmative action to protect abortion as a practice. Scientifically, it is a human life. The textbooks teach us that, but it is right to take it out to solve a problem. This is why the church is so strict on this issue, because it's kind of like accepting this or accepting daily murder. Pope Francis noted. The theology of the issue, he added, it's simple. For whether to deny a pro-abortion politician the ability to participate in the commission, the Pope was less decisive, suggesting that bishops and priests should seek to be pastoral and counsel those who seem to be confused about the church's teachings, because a pastor's responsibility does not end when an individual has been excommunicated or has been excommunicated or has excommunicated themselves by disagreeing publicly with the core dogma. Dogma? I don't know. The problem is pastoral. How we as bishops manage this principle, Pope Francis said. If we look at the history of the church, we'll see that every time bishops acted not as pastors in problems, they became politicians. And what should the pastor do? He shouldn't go around condemning. He should also be a pastor with those who are excommunicated, and so to be and should be with God's style, with closeness, compassion, and tenderness. Pope Francis said, those who are not in the community cannot take communion. Because they are out of the community, it is not punishment. Communion is linked to the community. Pope Francis was responding to a question specifically about the U.S. Catholic bishops' plan to issue pastoral guidance on the subject of denying communication to the pro-abortion politician. Although the United States Conference is Catholic bishops determined, weeks ago we compiled the guidance. The issue has arisen more forcefully in recent weeks, with both Biden and Pelosi expressing our support to efforts to overturn a Texas heartbeat bill that effectively outlaws abortion around 6 weeks of pregnancy when fetal cardiac activity can be detected. First of all, before I continue, I would actually like to say, even though I'm not Catholic, I am Christian though. I am really glad to see the Catholic Church come out to say that they do not support the right to an abortion. It is very good to see this, because nowadays a lot of people are getting less and less religious when we see things like this. It really does give me some hope. But yeah, both Biden and Pelosi have both claimed to be Catholic, but both have spoken openly about supporting abortion. While Biden recently confirming that his thoughts on the subject has evolved from what he claimed in 2012 to be personally against the practice. So more or less, Joe Biden used to be against the practice, but now he's for it. Both Biden and Pelosi's local archbishops, who would ultimately authorize a commission to deny them communion. They have been opined on the subject. Biden's Washington D.C. Archbishop Cardinal Wilton Gregory told reporters last week that the president is not demonstrating Catholic teaching. That is correct. He is supporting abortion, which Catholics do not, as said, because it's been denounced by the church, as you just saw. Pelosi San Francisco Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone wrote in the Washington Post that you cannot be a good Catholic and support expanding a government-approved right to kill innocent human beings, and suggested that excommunication could be left on the table for Pelosi and her other abortion-supporting Catholics. I agree with that, and I definitely am for that. They are the farthest thing from Catholic. Uh, I'm going to see some. Ah, right here. So, Biden's border crisis continues to worsen. Illegal boarding crossing hops up to 300% and compared to the same time in 2020. President Joe Biden's administration has recorded itself in the second highest numbers of illegal alien apprehensions along the southern border in the last month as Biden's national security and humanitarian catastrophe continues. There were more than 200,000 migrant encounters on the southern border in August. A DHS source told Fox News on Wednesday that the second, excuse me, a second month in a row, the number has been over 200,000 mark as migrants continue to attempt to enter the U.S. Fox News reported. Additionally, the 208,000, I'm just rounded up, 209,000 number for August represents a 317 increase over the last August 2020, where we saw 5,000 encounters, and a 233% increase over August 2019, where we saw 62,000. Uh, yeah, the numbers were only primarily could still rise, would mark the first time during the Biden era that hold a number of apprehensions of illegal aliens decreased from the month, even if admittedly July saw more than 212 apprehensions. That decrease would be just 1.88% from the prior month. Fox News reporter Bill Melgren tweeted out videos from Wednesday that showed upon thousands and thousands of illegal aliens waiting to be apprehended by the U.S. law enforcement officials. Quote, our drone is currently over the international bridge in Del Rio, Texas, where the Border and Patrol and law enforcement sources tell us over 4,200 migrants are waiting to be apprehended after crossing into the sorry about that. U.S. local BP holding facilities are overwhelmed by the overcapacity. Melgren tweeted. A source on the ground sent us this video showing thousands of migrants are under the international bridge in Del Rio, Texas, with more constantly showing up. We're told the situation is getting worse every day and the numbers are growing by the hour. Right here it is. See, you can see all the, if I can, right here. Yeah, right here. See, you can see all the people as you see. This is the bridge in Del Rio, Texas. Those are all illegal immigrants. Right there, you got like you just got a whole bunch. That's just on the outside. You got some up under. Like right there, 4,200 migrants. That is a good number. A news source on ground sends video showing thousands of migrants on an international bridge in Rio, Texas. Showing up more constantly. We're told the situation is getting worse every day. Numbers going by the hour. This is the video of all. feel bad for those people. But yeah, Chad Wolf, former acting DHS secretary and heritage visiting fellow, slammed the administration in a statement saying that Biden's failed border security policies are simply unsuitable. I definitely agree. The men and women of the federal law enforcement cannot continue to deal with these crisis level numbers. They are already overwhelmed and overburdened, and the breakdown is coming, Wolf said. Hundreds have been pulled off the line in defending, safeguarding our borders to process and care for the food flood of illegal aliens apprehended at the border. Cartels and smugglers have taken advantage of our weakness with record numbers, not just people, but narcotics pouring across the increasingly undefended border. President Biden simply isn't listening, and I fear that we will start down the prospect of preventable disaster stemming across this crisis. Wait, sorry, people. Sorry about that, people. A little issue, whatever, but I fixed it. But yeah, President Biden simply isn't listening. Blah blah blah. Yeah, Wolf added. Sadly, we just saw in Afghanistan in recent weeks that it seems that this administration politics trumps national politics trumps national security. Mark Morgan, former acting CBP commissioner and heritage visiting fellow, also criticized the bottom conversation, saying the contrary to claim that this crisis expands beyond the local border communities. This consequence of Biden's border crisis are impacting the country's public safety, health, national security. Morgan said, "We come across our southern borders, make its way into every city and town of the state in our nation. We have seen significant increase in fentanyl pouring in across the border, expansion in human trafficking, and criminal aliens breaking into our country undetected as a result of current open border policies." Where's that outrage from the mainstream media? Where's that action on Capitol Hill? As our southern border becomes increasingly vulnerable to the vast set of complex threats facing our country, the failed withdrawal from Afghanistan presents a heightened sense of insecurity and concern, Morgan added. Afghanistan has once again become the base of operation for terrorist organizations. Make no mistake, these organizations resolve and commitment to do harm. The United States is alive and well. They will do it for every vulnerability we will have at home to abroad and exploit. They do not need to look towards our southern border. They just need exchange, of course, because it's too late. Alright, oh wait, this report hasn't been updated, blah blah blah. But real quickly, I'm gonna have to cut it short, guys, because my stomach really isn't feeling well. I got a bit of a headache. I ate a little too much earlier, and I need a little aspirin. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it early. Tomorrow, I promise, I'll make a normal length video. I just got a bit of a headache right now. I'm not feeling the best. But please, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think, 'cause I'm running out of ideas a bit. So I want to do a little something a little more than reading news. Of course, I like reading the news to give you all the information. It really does make me happy because I get to give people information. But I also really want for people to also just give me information, tell me things that you would like to see me do. But other than that, then I'm gonna have to wish you people a great day. Stay safe and God bless.